Happy Monday, guys, and welcome to WagerTalk TV. This is PuckTime. Andrew McInnis, Carmine Bianco with you to break down just two games here on a Monday slate. You guys know how the NHL likes to do it. They'll give you a ton of games one day, and they'll give you pretty much nothing the other days. That's how it rolls in the NHL. So we have Blues and Penguins, Bruins and Senators, just two games we're going to look at. We've got a same game parlay, which is actually going to be just two props for me today, two players I'm putting together. We've got Carmine's bankroll play, and we've got teams that we are not impressed with so far. So looking forward to that. And I think, Carm, it's going to be a real good day in the NHL despite just two games, man. So and I'm looking forward to going over your list because teams that have not impressed you so far, it's fun to look at, man. How was your weekend?
Weekend was good. There is no, I know I dropped it in the information in our production group, but there is no pod play today. There's only two games. And the one game I was thinking of making a pod play, there's some information on it that I did not like. So I'll wait till tomorrow. We got a full schedule. Andrew, this weekend was pretty much like a small profitable weekend across like all sports, but it was like one day you're the hammer, one day you're the nail. And by that, I mean, I had a 5% play in the NHL on Saturday. That was an easy winner. I think it was with the over in the Columbus game. And then on Sunday, the Atlanta Falcons, my God, they didn't even show up. Andrew, they did not show up to the game, the Falcons. It was unbelievable. I went to 2-1 in the NFL. I won a couple of 4% plays. So a winning day in the NFL overall. But this Falcons team, I know this is a hockey show, but this Falcons team knocked me out of Survivor when they scored 0 points against Carolina. And yesterday, they lost at home to the Miami Dolphins, a team, the Tuna. Oh, God. Anyways, two games in the NHL tonight. Not the greatest card, but that's why we're going to have five teams that are off to disappointing starts. And then on Thursday, I believe, Andrew and I, Thursday or Wednesday, we're going to do the five biggest surprises of the NHL season thus far, because we're about 10 to 12% into the season thus far. Teams have played 8 or 9 games. It is time to start amping up the plays, Andrew. I've taken a cautious approach. I'm having a winning NHL season thus far, which, when you talk about it being October, is kind of surprising because last year it was not a good October, and I was transparent about it the whole time. I'm happy that we're off to a good October, and I'm going to start amping it up because I'm really liking these games and seeing them well. So with that,
I had a really good start, and then I've kind of hit the decline quite a bit here, Carm, and I'm going to be straight up. We'll get to the segment here in a little while, but one of the biggest reasons for my decline has been losing money, fading winning teams. And it reminds me of, like, you scroll through social media right now. I mean, favorites and over in the NFL the past like 2 months and going back to even last year. Think about the playoffs. And everybody loves to be contrarian. We love taking the underdogs. But right now, the public's doing pretty damn well in the NFL because these favorites just keep hitting. And when I think about the NHL right now, look at some of these teams that you just don't want to fade. Like, I think I've lost 2 or 3 bets fading the New Jersey Devils in the last week and a half, and this team, I think they've lost 1 game all year. So in the NHL, it's a streaky sport. And one thing I've learned about myself with my betting right now is that it's okay to go against a hot team, but I don't want to make a habit out of it because I've been going against too many hot teams. And a streak can only be snapped once. We got guys in here talking about this matchup, Penguins and Blues here, Carm. And this Penguins team's been pretty impressive so far, that's for sure. They've caught everybody off guard. And I'll tell you, for the people that want Crosby traded or Malkin traded or Letang or whoever, they're not going to trade any of these guys if they keep putting up some pretty good numbers here, Carm. It looks like 2 key injuries to mention. Potential injury for Rickard Rakell for the Penguins and Robert Thomas, the first-line centerman for the Blues, out potentially for the St. Louis Blues. And again, when I always say this, guys, he's a main offensive piece on the team, but a centerman, Carm, people forget, is a key defensive guy on a team as well. But I think you'd probably agree with me that this Blues team has a bit more depth than the Pittsburgh Penguins do, for sure.
Yeah, they do. They're just not. They're disappointing to say the least. It hasn't been the greatest start for a few teams. Andrew, when I looked at this line, I was looking at it last night, and I thought the ticket money is probably going to be on St. Louis throughout the night and possibly the morning. In the line will probably shift 5 to 10 cents, and it's kind of like that. If you look at if you go to our live lines, whether it's Odds Logic or the WagerTalk free live lines, and you click on, let's say, Circa, you'll see like 87% of the ticket money, I think, is on, or the tickets are on the St. Louis Blues. I think it's just people expecting at some point Pittsburgh is going to start. I don't want to use the word tank because that's not the proper word, but Pittsburgh are going to start to lose games. Now, they've been impressive, Andrew, and they've been scoring goals, and that's why I wanted to take advantage of that. They're averaging 3.5 goals, I think, per game at home, or 3.75. And one of the reasons why I did like the over in that game against the Columbus Blue Jackets on Saturday night that finished 5-4. You look at their 4 previous games to that, and their wins over Florida 5-3, Vancouver 5-1, the Sharks 3-0, and the Kings 4-2. Now, the one thing that sort of stands out, and I know you can only beat the teams that they put in front of you, is the Kings weren't playing very good hockey at the time at home. They're starting to play much better on the road. The Sharks are the Sharks. The Canucks haven't played well of late, and we know the Florida's struggles missing a couple of their big guys. So you have to decide at this point, and you know me, I'm one of those ones where when a team wins 4 or 5 games in a row and they lose one, I want to fade them the next time out again, unless they're a very good team and I expect them to bounce back. Similar to it when a team has lost a few games in a row and get a win, it's that confidence builder, and I want to come back and play them again. We're getting a good price to bet against the Pittsburgh Penguins here. I think the Blues are better, even with 1 or 2 guys out of the lineup. It looks like it's going to be Binnington in goal against Tristan Jarry, and the goaltending advantage to me lies with the St. Louis Blues. So with that said, you can get 115 to 120 at some books on the St. Louis Blues. That's where I'm going to go here.
Yeah, look, Carm, I mentioned that I haven't had success fading teams that have been pretty strong, and the Penguins have definitely been a team that surprised us a bit, but they're one team I think that collectively, me and you on PuckTime are going to be able to make some money going against. This Penguins team long-term is probably going to start to fade, and what's funny is people say that this team's not going to be very good, or this team's not going to be very good. But what does Yanni the Greek always say? It's not about the sample size of 5 games or 10 games. In MLB, he talks about having 162 games as your sample size. So you can look at the progression, you can look at the regression. Certain teams are going to have the ebbs and flows of a season. So Pittsburgh got off to a hot start. Doesn't mean we all of a sudden love the Pittsburgh Penguins now. And with that being said, there's going to be spots to back them, but I'm completely with you. Despite the Robert Thomas injury, I'm interested in backing them. One thing that I loved here, looking at moneypuck.com, the expected goals for, we've got St. Louis at 6 and Pittsburgh at 9. So if you want to base on expected goals for, maybe it's a wash. But here's where what made me land on St. Louis. Expected goals against Pittsburgh, second worst team in the league. So they're putting up goals, but they're the second worst team in expected goals against. You want to talk about St. Louis? Third best in the league, expected goals against. We have the second worst versus the third best in expected goals against. That tells me everything I need to know. One team's playing better defensively. And when you're relying on Tristan Jarry, that's not going to last very long, Carm. So I'm with you on the Blues. We'll figure it out if we're going to play some props. We're going to play the period bets or regulation team totals. I'm not sure how I'm going to do it. Good comment here from iMonkey. St. Louis also has the worst save percentage in the league. And that's kind of nice to see. Ant, good to see you catching a live show.
Yeah. Andrew, I get it. We shouldn't look at one game in specific and say, this is what worries me. It's a collective of if it happens over and over again, and you can identify losing streaks, you can identify winning streaks by at least looking at a bigger sample size. But my God, the St. Louis Blues winning to Detroit looked very good with a 4-0 lead and lost the game 6-4.
Yeah.
6-4. And this isn't a slight on the Detroit Red Wings, because they are an exciting team to watch and have had a good start to the season as well too. But no NHL team should ever lose a 4-0 lead. No NHL team. I don't care if it is the worst of the worst in the NHL. No team should blow a 4-0 lead. This is where you rely on your third and fourth lines to go out there and just forecheck and get the puck out of your own end. Blowing a lead like that is unbelievable. And sometimes that does have an effect on a team. So we'll see how they rebound from that. Maybe they're embarrassed and they fire Monty, they say. So that's the thing that that sometimes worries me about it. Is there a lasting effect to it, or do they bounce back in a big way? You look at Binnington's numbers haven't been the greatest to start the season. He's 2-3, 312 goals against average, 872 save percentage. And you know what I always say, when your save percentage is under 9, it's never a good thing. And you look at his save percentage the last few years, 9 last year, 9.13 the year before. The 1 year where it was 894, but then 901, 910, 912, 927. So he's always had a very good save percentage going back to 2018, the year in which I believe that they won the cup. But it is something to worry about. And you look at his last couple of games, and 6-4 against Detroit, the last goal being an empty netter. 7-4 game. He was in goal. He was only in goal for a part of that game. 51 minutes of that game, allowed 3 goals on 18 shots. But it's a little troubling. We'll see, Andrew. I'm looking for the Blues bounce back today in this one.
And Carm, we were talking about. I was mentioning the difference in expected goals and stuff, and we had a commenter talking about the save percentage. I found this really interesting, and I'm not going to lie to you. I just looked this up right now. You know how we have the goal differential, but the expected goal differential is, me and you love looking at those analytics as well as using our eyes, because we both watch a ton of hockey. But this one's kind of interesting here. The expected goal differential, St. Louis, third in the league at plus 5.16. Third in the league, expected goal differential. Pittsburgh, 23rd in the league at minus 3.08. So, I mean, look, I just opened the show by talking about how you don't really want to go against hot teams, but Pittsburgh's a team that we're going to be able to make some money going against, because their defense is what's really going to let them down. So, the question is here, do we need to even look towards a team total on this St. Louis team? They did lose 6-4. They hit 4 goals, but they lost. But the way I look at it is, I think that at home for this St. Louis Blues team, which I do believe they're at home tonight. Could be wrong here, Carm.
No, games in.
They're on the road. At home, I think they're going to have more low-scoring games. So maybe we could have St. Louis team total over. And as much as you usually love that sweet spot of like plus 105, plus 100 or whatever, you're getting plus 130 on Blues to get to 4. I think a lot of the games this season, the Pittsburgh Penguins lose games, they're going to give up that magic number of 4. So the plus 130 is kind of intriguing as well. But you guys comment below. Let us know what you think.
Yeah, more shots on goal. I think that's the important thing. Guys like Jordan Kyrou, he's got to get more shots on goal. Like, if you look at his numbers, I think he's averaging 2 shots on goal per game. But the numbers inflated because he's had I think 1 or 2 games where he's had 7 shots on goal and 6 shots on goal. Then there's a lot of zeros and ones. You can't score if you don't hit the net. So with that, with that said, hitting the net, Andrew, let's look at this next game. Um, Ottawa and Boston. So, the first thing that came to my mind is, and I don't have a card up today, but I'm going to have just a couple client plays up. So nothing that's going to be up for sale just because it's a weaker card, which is why there's no pod play. Is since the Brady to Chuck injury, their first couple games, the Ottawa did not look good. They lacked any aggression, it seemed, whatsoever, any toughness, but a nice 3-1-1 run. And did you see the game against Washington? When
Crazy.
your goalie skates the length of the ice to get into a fight as well too, that is a team that is sticking together. That's what you want to see from the Ottawa Senators. I'm sorry, but they had that game under wraps anyways, but those are sometimes the signs that signal a team is turning the corner, because you're sticking up for each other. And I'm going to preface this by just going off on a bit of a tangent. Look at what someone like Anthony Stolarz of the Leafs said when one of his players was knocked down or whatever. No one came to the guy's defense, and he said it to the media. He had no problems saying we need to be tougher as a team and stick together. Well, the Ottawa Senators stuck together in that game in Washington, Andrew.
That game was fun to watch. And sometimes you see those blowouts, Carm, and you're like, all right, this is going to be a blowout. This is going to be a spot to see them kind of, get a little physical, get a little fight, but also you build that team chemistry, as you mentioned there. Wash Redskin, he's owning it. He says the Sens beat us down. I just am shocked. Of all spots for the Washington Capitals to have a flat spot, that's the spot that they have the flat spot against, was against the Ottawa Senators. I guess we know that they have a good offense, and it's their defense you worry about more, but
that was
crazy.
That was Battle of the Capital Cities for those who do not know, right? So, because Ottawa is the capital of Canada, and Washington is capital of the U.S. So, maybe of all the battles that we have, we finally won one. No. So,
Carm, looking at Chris Otto, he just tweeted about this. We've seen seven games so far this season, or 7 games in a row, goal in the first 10 in a Boston Bruins game. And as far as over 1.5 in the first period, they're hitting 70% on the season. You never thought you'd see that from this Boston Bruins team. But maybe their defense is slipping, and maybe they're coming off to fast starts. But it is kind of interesting because a lot of times you see these first period overs where the line is 125, 130, 135. The line here on this one, from where I'm looking, is minus 120. The Boston Bruins, they're going to be a little bit happy coming into this one. The Senators are going to be pretty happy coming into this one. But I think that when it comes down to it, the better team always dictates the pace. And I do think that in the Atlantic right now, the Ottawa Senators are the better team. So, hell, maybe we see a fast start to this one again. Maybe we're too late to the trend here, but Chris Otto, he's tweeting about it right now. 7 straight. They call it the gift, Carm. Goal in first. Well, goal in the first, I guess. Goal in the first period, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
Goal in the first 10, actually. Sorry. Goal in the first 10. GIFT.
Andrew, I looked at this line and I think what's it sitting at? About 170?
Yeah.
For Ottawa, 173 I'm seeing right now. It opened at 186. So, and most of the books are hanging like a 180 in there. So a little bit of Boston money has come in. It's one of those ones where if I was looking at Ottawa and taking Ottawa because they put together a nice, a tidy 3-1-1 streak their last 5, is that I would probably look at them to win it in regulation. But I want their number 1 goalie in net, and the only goalie confirmed of the 4 teams playing tonight is the Ottawa goalie at the moment, and it's Levi Merilainen. He's only played 1 game thus far this season. That was against the Buffalo Sabres. He allowed 7 goals in that game. And I get it. You can't base it on 1 game, but that's all we've seen from him this year. He was 8-3-1 last season when Allmark got injured. He had a 199 goals against average and 925 save percentage. So it is not as if he's not battle tested in the NHL. He did have a very good sample size the last time Allmark was injured, but that's who I want to see in goal. I want to see Allmark. I don't want to see the backup goalie in net. And that's what's keeping me off of this one, Andrew, even though I don't want to say much respect for it. I just don't think the Bruins are going to have anywhere close to a good season. They're not going to make the playoffs this year. I feel the same way about the Pittsburgh Penguins, which I will say this, and I know Los Kid hates me for saying stuff like this, but I've got to find, Andrew, and maybe we can find it before the show is over, because the Pittsburgh Penguins are off to such a good start, the odds of making the playoffs and choosing the no option for Pittsburgh has got to be much better than it was at the beginning of the year.
Give me a second here, Carm. Give me a second.
Yeah, come on, man. Do it. Do it for us people in the chat, or if you guys can find it there as we're looking. Team points.
Which team do you want the number on?
Pittsburgh Penguins to miss the playoffs.
I don't think you want this number. They're going to have to go on a bigger win streak for you to want to bet this.
Okay.
Minus 650.
See, well, despite there you go. See, despite their start to the season, Andrew, and look, their total points for the season, and I bet under, I think it was 79.5 or something like that. I can't remember what I bet Pittsburgh on, but I took their under points. Their point total right now is only 81.5, and it's still shaded to the under vig wise. So I'm sorry, Los Kid. I know you love your team. Listen, I suffered through many years of Bills losing seasons and continuous Sabres losing seasons that I can say this. It's going to be a bad season for you guys.
I'm going to throw one out here, Carm. And I know with futures, like you're not supposed to, it's like a stock. You don't want, it's like buying low, selling high type of thing. But I still, even though this team that I'm about to say is struggling right now, so you might think there's value on them to make the playoffs, I kind of want to just get in on it now. And I'll tell you what, the New York Rangers aren't going to make the playoffs this year. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. I think this Atlantic Division last year sent several teams. You had the Panthers, Lightning, Leafs, Senators, Habs. Now, unless the Lightning continue to disappoint, maybe they miss as well. But then you've got the Metropolitan Division that's been very competitive as well. I'm seeing New York Rangers plus 130 make, minus 160 miss. I'm tempted by taking this team. I don't trust them whatsoever, man. I don't trust this Rangers team. They don't seem to have the goal scoring ability.
It was on full display last night in Calgary. Calgary Flames, the team that wins their first game of the season in overtime against the Edmonton Oilers, and then proceeds to lose 8 straight games. How do you get better? Play the New York Rangers. They beat the Rangers 5-1. And I'm watching that game last night because I released 3 plays yesterday in the NHL. The first 2 won. The last one was the Rangers. And I'm just watching guys like Zibanejad missing shots on goal, player sticks snapping. And I'm like, it's like watching the Bad News Bears, but the hockey version of them. So Mike Sullivan wasn't happy behind the net, but or Sully there wasn't happy behind the net, but that team is going to have to turn something around. They hung Shesterkin out to dry. Poor guy, a good goalie in a bad situation, unfortunately, and it could go from bad to worse. Andrew.
Yeah.
So that brings us to our 5 most disappointing teams. This is my list, so I'm hoping Andrew will chime in on these. But Andrew, if you can pop the image up there, and we'll go one at a time on this. So if you can get yourself on the screen as well too. The St. Louis Blues. Now, Andrew, you look at this St. Louis Blues team, and we look at the standings overall, And let's click on this. And the Blues have what? 8 points at the moment? 7 points ahead of only the Calgary Flames, who picked up a couple of points last night, and the San Jose Sharks. They sit in 14th. I think the more troubling thing is the fact that while they're averaging 3 goals a game, they've allowed 33 goals and lost 3 straight games. They're not playing well at all.
No. I mean, the biggest thing with all these teams on the list, Carm, has been they haven't been able to keep a lead and they haven't been able to come back in any games. That's the big thing. They haven't, like, in order to win games, in order to be a good team, you have to have third period comebacks. You have to be able to go down 3-1 and be able to come back in a game. When you look at some of these teams, and, Minnesota is one that really kind of annoys me because I was talking about it at the start of the season, how great their power play was playing. But for them, it's 5-on-5 play hasn't been very good. They got a homestand coming up. We'll see how they play at home. But a lot of these teams are reliant on the power play. And 5-on-5, it hasn't been good enough for them whatsoever. It's crazy to think that these are the teams on this list, Carm. It really is. Like, if you told me these would be the teams that you'd have on this list at the start of the NHL season, I would think that you're a little bit crazy, honestly, to say.
These are all...
the Wild are a good team, man. The Leafs are a good team. The Lightning are a good team. The Rangers had potential, right? So,
with the exception of the New York Rangers, these are all teams that made the playoffs. And the way in which the Blues played last year to end the season, and then in the playoffs, where they played extremely well in the playoffs, but still ended up getting eliminated, you would have thought they could have carried that over into the next year to build off of what they did the previous year. But no, that just hasn't happened. The New York Rangers, a coaching change, the fact that they just can't seem to score goals. I don't know what's happening there. They probably wishing they had Kreider back. At the very least, maybe it's another guy who's going to fail miserably. You look at the Minnesota Wild, and the Minnesota Wild, Andrew, how many goals have the Minnesota Wild allowed this season? Let's have a quick look at that one. Minnesota Wild, 39 goals. They're allowing almost 4 goals a game. The Minnesota Wild, 8 points.
They have the fifth worst goal differential in the NHL, the Minnesota Wild.
And I get they've had a couple guys in and out of the lineup or whatever, but the most important one is they signed Kaprizov to that huge contract. You would think that, not having to worry about that anymore, it's that white noise in the dressing room no longer exists, and they're going to have a better season, which brings us to white noise in the dressing room, the Toronto Maple Leafs. Right now, they're flying under the radar only because the Toronto Blue Jays are still in the World Series. The minute the World Series is over, the media is going to focus on Toronto, as in the Maple Leafs, and start shredding these guys in interviews, in articles, in online stuff. It is what it is with this team. Andrew, my friends were silent this past weekend because they love to make fun of the fact that the Leafs beat up on the Sabres. Well, the Sabres picked up 3 of 4 points against the Leafs. Leafs needed an overtime winner by like 98-year-old John Tavares scoring a goal on a breakaway. He was so slow on that breakaway. I was wondering, like, is anybody else on the ice? But
he's all alone for like 2 minutes to get there. I like this comment. Look, we had Hal saying, how the hell is Calgary not on their top 5 early disappointments? And then iMonkey says it's expected from Calgary. And I don't want to speak for you, Carm, but that's how I feel, is that these are more so not as much just the NHL early disappointments, but Carm, if I may alter the title of your segment, I would say the early season shockers is kind of what I would, there's some teams that are disappointments, but these are kind of shockers for us that these teams, like, I think if you were to ask me, Carm, which one are you shocked over all of these? Which one that I'm the most shocked about? It's
There's
the
one that
Tampa Bay
stands out to
Lightning.
me. Yeah,
Tampa Bay
Tampa
Lightning.
Bay Lightning. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. This team, and I get it, even preseason, we shouldn't put much stock in it, but their scoring when the starters were in there and they were playing preseason games against teams that were using their full lineups as well too. They looked good. This is a team that, even last year, the way in which they finished looked good. I just thought they would have a better start to the season. And, you've got Vasilevsky, and, this is where I always argue with Prez. It's like, when he says, oh, the guy's old, he's not the Vasilevsky of old. Maybe he's not the Vasilevsky of old, but he's still Vasilevsky, who's had a year in, year out, is a very good goalie. They're just not a team. And maybe it's the Stamkos effect. Stamkos not being there for what now, 2 years for them. And I get it, Kucherov missing a couple of games, but their power play is at 10%. Andrew, the Tampa Bay power play, I believe, was at 10%. I think they were saying and stuff. So that's a bit of a surprise. But when we talked about like in power plays, and I just want to go one more for you, and it's not on that list, but identifying teams that you can start making money off of. So look at the Sabres. And this is not me being a Sabres fan, but look at the Sabres. First 3 games for the Sabres, record 0-3, goals scored 3 total, goals allowed 10. Their power play 0%, 0 for 13 in the first 3 games. The Sabres' next 6 games, 4-1-1, 25 goals scored, 17 allowed. Their power play 26.9%. The 6 games, 3 of 5, 2 of 6, 0-3, 1-5, 0-2, 1-5. The power play 7 for 26, 26.9%. The Sabres are starting to score goals. And when the Sabres start to score goals, and Pekka Luukkonen is now back in goal, they're going to start to win some games. So are they going to make the playoffs? I don't think so. I think media thinks they do. I don't. But with that said, Andrew, some money can be made on the Sabres short term.
Well, nobody denied the offensive ability they had, Carm. It was always just a defense. And who would have ever thought there'd be a goalie controversy right now in Buffalo? Ellis, he might end up having to stay up because they don't want to lose him to waivers because he's old enough that if they bring him back, like you talked about with the goalies and what's his name? UPL. Yeah, UPL. That's the nickname there. So it's shocking.
Pekka Luukkonen.
Did you guys find good goaltending in Buffalo? Maybe you did. Maybe you did. All right, Carm, we're running a little bit late here. I want to just throw this out here. These are just 2 picks that I like for one game here, guys. I talk about putting two players together in a little same gamer. You don't always have to do 4 or 5 legs with these. You can just make some money like this. And Dylan Holloway, Pavel Buchnevich, with no Robert Thomas, I think both these guys are a big part of it. They're both top line guys. They're both on the first power play unit. You put these 2 guys together, you're getting plus 162. Some books you can get plus 170. Shop around. We're only going to show a couple books here on the screen. Don't want to show too many different books, but I want you guys to be able to capitalize on some of these bets that I'm giving out here. Take Holloway, put him together with Buchnevich against that Pittsburgh Penguins defense that I think is going to start to fall down a little bit here. And you put 2 players together, plus 162. So, Carm, we're going a little more conservative on the same game parlay today, but hey, a winner is a winner. Let's cash it.
Yep, let's cash it. Speaking of cash it, I'm a little surprised because last year, the very first 6 and 60 segment of the new year last season went something like 1-5. And I'm like, I think I started it too early. 4-2 with the 6 and 60 on Saturday. So I was pretty happy with that one. We'll be back again for the 6 and 60 this coming Friday. Hopefully get out some winners. Tomorrow we got a huge card for you guys. And I believe we have the Prez and Brian Leonard coming on tomorrow's show. So you'll have 4 or 5 games that we're going to talk about on the NHL card. We will have a play of the day tomorrow. but it's only a 2-game card. So we thought we'd fill some air, entertain you guys as well too. Andrew, for myself, NFL play being loaded shortly, 2-1 in the NFL weekend, small profitable weekend, but happy nonetheless. So anyone who has that weekend warrior package, you'll be getting that play up shortly. And then I will have NHL plays up for tomorrow, a little later on today as well too. Passing on soccer, do not like anything as of yet. And that's about it for me. What about you?
Carm, I can't wait, man. I'm not too active in the NFL, but low volume, we've been able to get the job done. And I got a 5% play tonight in NFL action, guys. Monday Night Football, Chiefs and Commanders. It's a 5% player prop. And whether it's a side or a total or first half play, whatever it is, guys, the goal here is to make some money. I love this player prop here. We're on an 18-6 run with NFL props here. Here's the promo code, guys. And if you're buying just one play, make sure you guys use this deal here. Save 15, save 15, take $15 off my 5% play. WT.buzz/AM. Cannot wait for it. Let's cash some tickets. And guys, of course, those 7-day passes, 30-day passes, or rest of 2025, always available at WagerTalk.com. I'm back on the pre-scout tonight, 10 p.m. Eastern time, going over Tuesday's card. I already have a few plays I want to give out. Not going over the whole card, but giving you guys some early look-ahead plays that I really do like. Best of luck, guys. We'll see you tomorrow. Same time, same place.